Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Ian Ferguson are with me on this Thursday. Delighted to have Ian's company with us as ever. Lots of football to talk about. We'll have a wee touch on international football because you weren't with us yesterday, Ruffy. We certainly enjoyed talking about it because the whole nation is right into it now.
Yeah, before the games we were on a wee bit of a downer because we weren't getting to the World Cup. And I think we needed to start going a wee run again, and these 3 games have just got everybody back on board and looking forward to the future.
When was the last time you were on a downer? You know what? I mean, honestly,
I want to go to the World Cup. Well, you know, you always want to go to Qatar.
No, it's an interesting point you make because I'm glad you said that because I'm going to obviously get your thoughts on it. It's a prickly subject, but thanks to Alec McDonald, who actually sent us this message first of all, and he says, "Morning all, I can't help but get excited by Scotland's performance over the international break and to actually come away with something tangible, progression into Group A. Most important for me, however, is the positive impact this will have on our international rating, and if we can maintain this progress, seeded as a second seed for the next World Cup draw. Part of me was quite happy that Scotland didn't qualify for Qatar," says Alec. "It's a disgrace and an embarrassment that the tournament is being held there. At least 6,500 migrant workers killed building stadiums." I don't know if it's that high, Alec, but obviously from your own point of view, stadiums that will never be used again. FIFA and Qatar have the blood of quite a few people on their hands, and it's a crime that is being covered up. I don't think it's being covered up, to be perfectly honest with you, Ruffy, because Louis van Gaal, the Dutch manager, only in the last 2 or 3 weeks has come out and said, there's a fair amount of hypocrisy. Anybody who's lost a worker due to the building of the stadium should be recompensed by FIFA, who are earning millions from it.
Yes, I read that as well. That you're right. That I think you'd be more up to date if you were over there. And you saw what was going on and you saw the reaction of people. But because we're so far away, we're only getting like second hand. But you're right, they have a lot of money in there, and if people have died through no fault of their own, then they should be compensated like anybody else.
Yeah, the other problem here, Ian, is, and I'm afraid to say this, and I say it regularly on the show, there's no such a thing as sporting integrity. In fact, there's a lot of, if you look through life, if we all suddenly take the moral high ground on these things, nobody's going to that World Cup when you consider the way Qatar even treats women, as second-class citizens in some cases, and there's a lot of human rights issues that are involved in that country. So, if people really wanted to make a stance, it wouldn't have got the World Cup in the first place.
Well, that's it, the ramifications of going to a country like that, and we all know the history. It's been in every newspaper, everybody has a view on it, but again, something out with I look at it from the outside thinking, how did that happen? How did they get the World Cup in the first place?
Yeah.
And when you listen to some of the newspaper reports that people who are over there not being paid a lot of money, losing their lives in the construction of all these stadiums, which probably won't be used again afterwards. Something investigation's got to be done, but I'm quite sure there's a lot more people more qualified than myself to do it. But from a point of view outside, looking from the outside in, I certainly wouldn't go.
Yeah. Even
Scotland had qualified and you want to go there, I thought, would you go to a country and endorse that? I probably would say no.
Yeah, well, that's a good point you make because people have to make a stance, but I don't think it materialises in sport because I think, like many other businesses and many other people who conduct their business in countries with questionable backgrounds,
it's a really difficult one because before we went to Argentina, we went to Chile. And there was a regime there, and we were all told, no, you don't go there, there's people getting...
You get pelters for that, didn't you?
Yeah, the SFA had to take a stand, I don't know what you would call the stand, but for football, they went. And the same in the Argentina World Cup, everybody was talking about the Argentinian regime, but doing all this and doing that. And then Mexico, everybody was telling us, don't go to Mexico, the poverty there, and they're not looking after the poor people and everything. So I think you could go through a lot of big things that are happening, and there's always been some kind of unrest or protest or whatever, but you've just got to be seen to be doing it for what you're doing it for, is playing football and putting a smile on people's faces.
Yeah, go on.
Some people have always asked me who the most famous person you ever met.
Yeah.
And when we get knocked out the Scottish Cup with Rangers, it was 1985-86, we went a wee tour to Baghdad, and we met Saddam Hussein before the game. We played the Iraqi national team twice. We got out a day before the airport, I think, got bombed the day after we left to go to Jordan to play the next leg of the tour. So again, talking about strange places to go and play football. Yeah. We went to Baghdad, and it was just as you would imagine. They were under, I remember a tank driving past the outside of the hotel. Myself and Robert Pritz were playing keepy-uppy. Yeah. And this tank rolled up, and when the guy pulled the turret, obviously the Swedish are not the bravest, so Robert was in before the ball hit the ground, and I went, I think I'm going as well. But we actually went to Baghdad to play a game of football. Yeah. Ended up playing twice.
I never thought we'd have Saddam Hussein mentioned on the programme. He's come up with an absolute belter.
Nice fella. At the time. He said shake his hand, I went, okay, no problem.
Yeah. I mean, I bet you, the other thing about it is, please tell me you never got a selfie with him.
Oh, there was no mobile phones in those days, yes. Thankfully.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, thanks to Bartholomew, who says, yeah, Peter, 6,500 is the figure. I stand corrected. If it is indeed as high as that, then it's going to take some job to try and sweep that sort of thing under the carpet. I didn't know it was as high as 6,500 people, but if 6,500 people have died attributed to the construction of so many stadiums and the work that goes on around them, then I think Louis van Gaal has got a very good point, which is, listen, whether it's 6,500 or one person, they should be compensated for it. Never bring your family member back. But it's a good point, and thanks for making it. Lots of people talking about the game, talking about Scotland's performance. Thanks to so many of you who've come on board and watch it near and far. Good to know. I always like the ones where we know it's going to be really, really sunny and they're having quite a rotten day. The weather rather than having an overall rotten day. Cameron Fife says hello from Royal Deeside. We've never had that, have we?
No, there's a good golf course up there.
Yeah.
Just outside Aberdeen. They used to have an annual British Petroleum used to have a charity golf day up there for Sparks. Yeah. Every year.
Okay. Aldo says, hi guys, the World Cup never at winter time. Should never be at winter time. Aldo, I agree with you. And Derek McCrory says, cheers lads. I usually just listen to the podcast, but now I regularly watch the show live before I go to bed in Tokyo.
We've never had Tokyo.
We've never had Tokyo, so it just shows you the amount of people who are watching. And this is the one from John who says, morning to the PLZ family, it's chilly in Melbourne. Yes, yeah, dancer.
I don't think there'll be anybody listening from Florida just now.
No, I'll tell you one.
The hurricane coming.
I was just about to say, I've seen the pictures from the last couple of days and it is really worrying. Certain places actually, Ruffy, where I was on holiday, I think Vegas has been absolutely battered with it as well. It's quite frightening. So, our thoughts are out there with them. Hopefully they're all safe. And I just want to say to you, Thomas McDougall's pointed out something. You did well yesterday when Cowan was on the programme. He mentioned at the end of the programme Peter Sutcliffe. Honestly, it was in this. I can't remember. You can't even remember the context of the story. But I looked at him and I went,
"Did he not go to Braithurst?"
Honestly, I looked at him and I went, how did we get from football to Peter Sutcliffe? And now we've got Saddam Hussein. And so thanks to Thomas McDougall, he said, who's next to get mentioned on this programme that you would never think about? You're absolutely right. Listen, the good thing about it is, Steve Clarke, when I read the back pages and I thought, surely that's been taken out of context. We might not need the playoffs. But overall, I think there were so many positives about it. I was reading a couple of articles in other papers today. The great thing about it, Ian, is we've now got more and more players who not only want to play, but there's a good quality about them. And as you said, that team ethic is there.
I think we have, and I think it shows in the team selection now that a lot of these boys are playing down in the Premiership down in England, and obviously with Rangers and Celtic up here. And I think when you look at the team now, it's household names that you can say, well, they're playing at a good level week in, week out. But the secret is, I don't know, getting boys together for a short period of time and gelling them as a team is sometimes difficult. And I think he's done very well with that, Stevie. I think he's nurtured a group of players and he's bringing boys in. and they're joining in that sort of atmosphere, and I think it shows when they're on the pitch. They're all fighting and working for each other. They're relating to the crowd. I think the crowd are back on side, and I think the Tartan Army has regrown again, and I think he's certainly given myself and other people who possibly were a wee bit would I watch it, because I think they're going to struggle. I think they now look as though they have potential to hold their own against a lot of teams, and certainly nobody will want to come and play Scotland at Hampden anymore, which is a great thing.
Were you a big Scotland fan when you were younger, when you were a boy, Ian?
Of course I was. I mean, we all got brought up. I mean, your ambition in life would be to play professional football and play at Hampden for Scotland. I was lucky enough to get quite a lot of under 18, under 21 caps and stuff, but never managed to get into the full squad. Quite competitive at that time, I mean, so don't have any qualms about that. But massive. Everybody was a Scotland fan, and I remember the Ali's Tartan Army and stuff, and yes, obviously.
I remember, I'll never forget, because obviously your family lived close to mine, and I'll never forget hearing the tears from your household as well, just sobbing, when they were let down, because we were crying, obviously, because we'd been told we were going to win it, and I remember just the Ferguson family as well, dejected by greed. Greed. And by the way, that brings us nicely. That brings us nicely.
He was saying, I remember playing in the park when did Scotland beat England 3-2 down at Wembley? Was that 67?
Yeah,
I remember in the park, playing park with my pals when that game, everybody was listening to that game. And there was another game at Hampden that I remember we were in the park all having a 20-a-side when Scotland beat England 4-3 at Hampden. I think Jimmy Johnson scored a couple of goals as well. So we were all there. We all wanted a good, successful Scotland side. It meant a lot to everybody.
Yeah, well, listen, it's meaning a lot. I have to tell you, Ruffy, the amount of people who are actually in this competition now.
They got it right.
It's incredible. No, I'm not going to tell you if they got it right. There's a lot of them into it. But over and above that, Ruffy, they're on the feed, they're emailing us, they're putting it on the messenger, so clearly they want you to could you sign these, Ruffy, so that we know it's the real deal. And he's a lefty as well, Ian, which is in your day, Ruffy, at school, if you were a lefty, did they not belt you with a ruler?
No, not at all. No.
What do you think he is?
Go down and we went to school in New Hill. What else went on in this neck of the woods?
No, but they did. You think I'm kidding? I bet there are people on here who would actually can remember going to school. If you even contemplated writing with your left hand, you get scalped with a ruler. And you never had that before?
No,
of course. Am I dreaming this?
I've been scalped with a ruler, but not at school.
Yeah, absolutely. And I miss Singer, do you? So there it is. He's signed them. It's the real deal. And the question's fairly easy. It's basically which player scored 2 goals in the victory for Scotland against Holland in the 1978 World Cup, and it was a fantastic Dutch side as well. They didn't have Cruyff, but if my memory serves me correct, Ruffy, they did have Johnny Rep, and I liked Johnny Rep at the time. Another favourite player of mine was Johan Neeskens.
Yeah, they had Neeskens, Rep, the Van der Kerkhoffs, the big boy at the back, who was a sort of a
Rudy Krul.
Yeah, nearly a Franz Beckenbauer.
Yes,
but he was quality. But no, they were a terrific side.
I'm going to give you 5 points, Ruffy, and I'll test out your knowledge on this as well. In fact, I'll throw it out to the two of you then. Who was the goalkeeper for the Netherlands
That day?
Yeah.
Jan Youngblood or something like that.
Oh, Ruffy, that is sensational. What a memory. Jan Youngblood. Yep, he was the goalkeeper. So there you have. Would you have got that, Ian?
Absolutely not. I thought he was Robin Hood.
So there you are. They're signed. Answer the question. Good luck with it. And we are going to it Friday. Ruffy will fire out who's won the gloves. Simple as that. We're talking about gloves. The goalie, magnificent.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm buying into the Scotland success and everything. Really, really good. But if you really shut your eyes and think about the games we've had, our star man has been our goalie. You know, I think our goalie has got us where we are. He's making the saves. He's making big important saves. You know, he did it against Republic of Ireland, he did it again in Ukraine, and he's been like that since he came in to the Scotland side. And I said to you, it's an absolute tragedy that he had the bad injuries, because I think he would have beaten Jim Leighton's record of 92 caps hands down. I don't know if he's still got a chance to do it. I don't know what he's at just now, but 65 or something like that, Jim Leighton.
Yeah.
Craig Gordon.
Yeah.
And he's going to play to when, did you say? 42?
Well, no, but he'll be 41 the next time the Nations League qualifying.
If he keeps playing, but he's maybe got another 20 games to play, which would maybe not take him to where Jim Leighton is. But if he stays fit, but I think he would have to play a wee bit
73.
longer than it. He's on 73.
Yeah.
73 and a 16 onto that he'll not be far away.
Is that feasible?
I think Jim's 92.
Is he Is Scotland's greatest ever keeper?
Yeah, I think he's got to be now.
Yeah, Ian?
Yeah.
Oh, he's certainly up there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we've had a lot of good keepers over the years, but I think Craig Gordon, for me, age, I think the only thing about age with goalkeepers, obviously, we all know they can play a wee bit longer than outfield players, but it's the concentration levels, and I thought he made a save look so easy the other night when the boy cut in on his left foot and he was putting it to the far corner. He was down, knew exactly where it was going, held on it, and I thought, he just makes it look so easy.
Yeah, and by the way, you know what's even worse, Ruffy? He's saving the ones that are a mile offside. He's saving them as well. He's just ripping the back end out of it.
Yeah, he makes a big save. I've said it all along. Yeah. Every goalkeeper makes saves. It doesn't matter whether you're playing junior, amateur or whatever. Yeah. You all make saves, but can you make the big save? And he makes the big saves. He makes the match-winning saves. Same as Andy Gorham did as well.
Yeah.
You know. They make the big saves at the right time and your team ends up winning.
Yeah, it's not always the case that every goalkeeper can make a save, Ruffy. I remember one of the guys we had, Michael Gannon's a great lad, who played for the Scottish Football Writers against English Football Writers, and he just came out for a corner. You know, he was easily 6 foot, but when he was coming out for corners, he was 5'4". Yeah. So not every goalkeeper makes a save. I thought I'd give, as soon as I just thought of Michael there and why we get pumped by the English Football Writers.
I'm going to give somebody else a mention that I was absolutely stunned by his goalkeeping prowess was Paul Hughes.
Yes,
you know, I thought that in the five-a-side goal.
By the way, we had a guy called Paul Hughes who worked with us here. He was our programme director, and basically we lacked a goalkeeper, so we played five-a-sides against England. Remember when we get battered 3-0 down there, and we went down to play the English Football Writers, so they had all the team out there, and he came out and he'd bought the full kit. So he goes out to play five-a-sides, and we're there on this five-a-side park right outside Wembley, Ian, and he's going, well, Ruffy, have you any tips for us? And Ruffy said to him, don't dive, right? And Paul looked at me and he went, is that a tip for five-a-sides? Is that what keepers do? And he went, no, it looks sore if you you might hurt yourself.
But I knew in the warm-up we were only going to win.
No, he was murder. But nevertheless, Craig Gordon, fantastic. The only downside, a little, it depends on who you want to listen to, you know, for God's sake. But Ryan Porteous was magnificent, but he says, you know, some of the flack he got from people who were just willing him to fail. I think sometimes you just got to block all that noise out.
I have. I mean, I thought the boy came in. I mean, he sort of gets a bit of controversy following him about sometimes because of the way he reacts at certain times during domestic games. But I thought he came in the other night out of the cold, and his positional sense. I thought both centre halves were magnificent. I thought some of the last cast tackles that they had were great, and he looked as though he'd played there for quite a number of years. But I was very impressed with him, and I think he just has to forget if people want you to fail. So just ignore that. Just do what you do well, and that's what he did. He came in, played his game, and he fitted into the team well. And again, going to that team unit, and he fitted in great. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, listen, brilliant. Lots of people very, very positive for the Scotland performance. So it was great, and you know, roll on. If we don't need one of the playoffs, great. If we
is there a draw tonight?
Sorry,
is there a draw tonight for a competition? No, a Euro draw. No, is it not a European draw tonight? I saw something in the papers, a European draw tonight for the Nations, we were in pot 4.
Yeah, we are in pot 4.
What's that for?
That's basically for the overall qualifiers. Now, this is the qualifiers for Rio. Can I just say something to you, Ruffy? I went into Tesco the other day there. I kid you not. I went into Tesco this morning and a guy stopped me and said, listen, Zed, can you explain what's happening in this Nations League? Oh. And I had to say to Andrew, I says, look, Andrew, basically, we've topped this group, which means we'll get a semi-final and a final and a playoff.
I get that.
The next part of the draw, which is all 4 pots, which we actually showed yesterday on the show, Ruffy, is for the qualification proper.
So what pot are we into?
Well, we're moving up now I think we'll be in pot 2 for
the next competition.
Okay. We've moved up there because of our performance,
right.
which is good. You okay with that?
A bit confusing.
Yeah, you're confused. I just went in there for a paper and some croissants.
Have we got Israel in the semi-final?
Yeah, we're about to get Israel. We'll definitely play Israel. It's as simple as that. Now, there's an ongoing battle domestically. It's done and dusted as far as the deal is concerned. But, Rangers chief James Bisgrove just claims that the SPFL missed a chance over a new improved TV deal for Scotland. I think he's been quoted, in this morning's papers, and this argument has raged on about the Sky TV deal. £30 million per season, 60 SPFL matches are going to be shown from 24 to 25. But James Bisgrove says Neil Doncaster should have reached out to Amazon, DAZN and BT Sport to find the best deal before agreeing to a Sky contract. Well, listen, I don't think it's a case of taking sides on it now. Just deal with the points that he's making there. And Ruffy, the SPFL have gone on record, and Neil Doncaster has mentioned it in the last 24 hours. They do it basically in the background, put it out there with their own TV executives, their own marketing team who know the market. They do go out there and say, listen, is there an appetite for Scottish football? And if so, would they be interested in bidding? It's as simple as that. I mean, you don't get to a situation where you just say, well, Sky TV's the only one on the table. You go out and you check in the background. James Bisgrove knows this. I don't know where I think there's a constant battle going on between Rangers and Neil Doncaster. It's whether it can be mended, I don't think so. But
it's okay throwing out a line like that, and backing up your own case, but you've got to have evidence that the SPFL didn't do it. Produce the evidence, as you say, the marketing people just went, no, that's the one we're going for. Because I'm like you, if you're in the marketing serve, you've got to explore everything that's out there, and I don't think for a minute they didn't do that.
Well, Neil Doncaster's gone on record as saying, look, they do put the feelers out because they have executives from companies that they hire to say, look, you're an agent, go out there. It's like Ian turning around if you were playing football and saying to your agent, listen, I want to move. Go out there and see who's interested. They pick up the phone. Everybody chats to each other, Ian, and it would be negligent not to, at that level, to think, where are we? What's our game at the moment? What's it like? How appealing is it to everyone?
You would think so. I mean, obviously, again, the marketing side of things and the deals that are going on, I don't pay much attention to it. James Bisgrove, obviously working at Rangers, has done a great job since he came in for the club. So, Again, if he's got an opinion on that and he thinks that that's not happened, then he's quite right to voice that opinion.
Yeah.
We don't really know without any evidence if that's been the case. So if that's the deal, that's the deal, and they'll all have opinions on it. But beyond me to look at it, I think they just have to get the best deal they can get.
Yeah, well, I think that and trying to get the best deal you can get with competition, I think they've had their fingers burnt, Ruffy, with the last time with Setanta. Now, that doesn't stop you from trying then, whether you get burnt with Setanta or not, going out there and saying to yourself, right, who's in the market? Now, BT Sport's not in the market because quite simply their offer the last time just showed you that they were going elsewhere. They weren't interested in it, certainly not at the figures that were being quoted. DAZN's blueprint is quite simply, you want to watch a game? It's a tenner. And you can watch it, you don't need to subscribe. That's where the strength of their European deal is. And the reason I know is because my old boss, is working there at DAZN as one of the absolute top end of the board. And that's the way they put it together for boxing. In Italy, if you wanted a game, here's your tenner, it's on your phone, or it's on your laptop or your PC. So I don't think we're there at that. I do think DAZN will become a real player for the way people watch football in the future. And then, of course, you've got Amazon as well. Now, I don't know if we're at that huge appeal yet, Ruffy. This is my personal opinion, because quite simply, I think we're just seen as a country full of bickering, backstabbing men.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with that to a certain extent, but again, our biggest sellers, Rangers and Celtic.
Yeah.
You know, if we didn't have Rangers and Celtic, we wouldn't even have a Sky deal. They wouldn't be interested in us, you know, because that's the market we're in. But I would like to think that they were all negotiating when the deal was done, and surely somebody, that when they were talking about a deal, surely somebody must have said, what about Amazon? What about them? What about them? And then they've got to explore it.
Yeah.
You know, unless he's saying, you know, I could have got us a deal with Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, but hasn't he said that?
Well, I'm only dealing with the facts of what people have said, and I think Fergie, you're right on the basis that, you know, James Bisgrove is perfectly right to actually turn around and go, you know, we should have put it out to tender. But as Neil Doncaster has said, the moves were made behind the scenes to see if there was interest and if anybody was going to come to the table. And the people at the table were Sky Sports, in a very, very difficult market. For everyone, I think it's a difficult market outside the English Premier League, they're just wallowing in the money at the moment. They're just swimming in, you know, large amounts of cash, and I think that's to the detriment of everybody else in Europe. It's not just Scotland. Lots of people across Europe are looking on with envious eyes. The one positive thing, call it a spin or not, who knows, the SPFL announced record financial results with the turnover and club payments on the rise. Here's the figures for you to look at. Turnover 39.5 million, up from 36.7. Fees paid to the clubs 29.7, which is up from 28.3. It's not a huge amount, but bear in mind we have had 2 years of COVID. Additional payments include TV and prize money, 2.7 million, up from 2.5. Overseas income is up by 5%, and staff remuneration down by 6%. So there you are. There's figures. It's not great, but as a country, I think, you know, we're moving in the right direction internationally. I'd like to see, you know, continue the good work that Rangers have done over the last 3 years in Europe. Celtic need to produce, and I'd like to see, if Hearts and Celtic could produce as well, Ian, I think we'll be in a better financial stake moving forward again.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, obviously we can remember back to when Hearts, Dundee United, Aberdeen were all doing well in European competitions and getting to later stages. So that obviously would promote the Scottish game. Rangers and Celtic are at the top end of that, and Rangers over the last 2 or 3 seasons have enhanced not only their own reputation but Scottish football's reputation in the European stage. So I think if we can manage to, I mean, Hearts had a good result in Europe a couple of weeks back. Yeah. If we continue to progress the way we are, then if we're getting into European competition, then it's important that we make our mark, and it can only enhance our game.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, we want more money. The door's not shut, Ruffy, because as we move further down the line, the one good thing is that each club now can at least look for a limited amount of games that they can go pay-per-view to their fans for club TV.
Yeah, I think that's important, that in this day and age not everybody can afford to go to a football game. You know, and there's people who can't get to a football game for whatever reason. So the avenue's got to be there. It's got to be there, you know, to bring these supporters to whatever club it is and keep them involved.
Yeah, absolutely. We're speaking to David Martindale today, obviously on what was happening with that SPFL deal, because Livingston were crucial in it alongside Rangers. They were still waiting to make their decision on this one. Rangers clearly not happy with the deal. This is what David Martindale had to say about the changing of the voting rules to make sure this deal went through.
Thanks, Peter. I'm outside the Tony Macaroni Arena for this morning's press conferences for Livingston's trip to Paisley on Saturday to face St Mirren. We all know that manager David Martindale's duties extend well beyond the dugout, so we had a little chat with him this morning to discuss the league's new Sky TV deal.
The Sky deal is going to help Livingston because it gives us a structured budget to work to 2029. You've also got these 5 pay-per-view home games that we can potentially make extra income from. You've then got the extra quota of games that hopefully Sky take on board, because that's going to generate more income to Scottish football. It's okay everybody sitting in their houses, or me sitting in Livingston saying we want more money, Where does that money come from? where does that money come from? So that's where I think it was imperative that we did get some sort of resolution with the Sky deal. But again, I'll go back to it, did we think as a club that it was correct that you needed 12 votes to get the Sky deal through, and that never quite happened. We changed the resolution to 11. That was the part that we weren't agreeing with.
A win on Saturday could propel Livingston to as high as third in the Scottish Premiership table. So we spoke to midfielder Jason Holt about what the realistic aims are for his side this season.
I think the previous 2 seasons, Livingston's aims to stay in the Premier League. I think, like I've said, the last 2 years we managed to get in the top 6. First year just missed out last season, so I think the top 6 is a realistic aim for us. So that's the target so far.
Well, Peter, panel, what do we think of Jason Holt's comments? Do you think Livingston can finish in the top 6? And what do you think of Martindale supporting the Sky TV deal? Do you agree? I'll let you discuss that in more detail. Back to you in the studio, Peter.
Yeah, thank you very much to Adam. He's been out and about. He's been a busy boy today, obviously catching the thoughts of David Martindale and the Livingston team that will play St Mirren. Here's how that fixture list looks as far as the weekend and the football that we can look forward to. We're back to domestic football. A lot of people happy with that. It's Livingston away to St Mirren, Ross County against Hibs, Dundee United St Johnstone, Celtic Motherwell, Aberdeen against Kilmarnock and Hearts against Rangers. Just briefly on that, Ian, Livingston, top 6. He's worked wonders there, David Martindale.
I love David Martindale's attitude towards the game in general. I think he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's got a group of players who don't leave anything on the pitch. Anytime you're playing against Livingston, you know you're in for a game, especially on their home surface.
Yeah.
But again, even away from home, I think he's got a real good attitude towards the game in general, and I think his players, as I said, back him to the hilt. And I like his interviews. He's always very honest.
Yeah, we had him in here and we absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the full hour with him. He was just a great insight into his ethos and the way he wants football played. When you were playing, did you play on an artificial surface at all?
I remember playing against I think it was Preston North End for Charlton. And it was one of the surface was like a board.
Yeah.
So when the goalkeeper kicked it out, it bounced just as high.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the best surface in the world when it was just in its infancy. But I've been on and seen some of the new surfaces, and they're reasonably good. I'm not a lover of them. I wouldn't promote them. I don't think certainly top level football I don't think should be played on them.
Yeah.
But I can understand the revenue income that teams would get if they make it an artificial surface and they get local community and they gain some income from that. But I'm not a lover.
No, you're in our camp. We're absolutely in the same bandwagon as yourself on artificial surface in the top flight. Don't think it should be there, but nevertheless they're away to St Mirren. It's a game I'm going to go to, Ruffy, because that's what happens when you're on this programme. You get to go to different games to see different teams and see them all, rather than just the one-dimensional come on the Jags that you just is it difficult, by the way?
No.
Because if you're sitting down in the chair, well, obviously you'll be sitting in a nice leather chair like this one because you're on the board. Is it difficult going to some games if there's not a starter, a main course and a sweet for you?
Well, we have a buffet in the boardroom and we welcome and visiting directors. It's quite a good scene in there.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you're not throwing drink down your throat for the whole game.
No.
You just wait until the end.
Yeah.
To get a win.
Yeah, or drown your sorrows.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt about. For me, I mean, I'll go and see St Mirren Livingston, but Hearts against Rangers. Our reporter Adam will be out at that one at Tynecastle, which is game of the weekend. I always love these games, Ian. They're just the whole atmosphere, the two teams. What do you make of them going into this one?
Well, I think obviously Robbie Neilson deserves a lot of credit for the way he's managed to pull Hearts back into the Premier League last year. He's consolidated third place in the league. Very difficult place to go and play against Hearts at Tynecastle on a full house. I think he's put together a very strong squad. He's cherry picked a lot of boys who maybe needed a second chance. Barry Mackay, people like that who came in and excelled. So I think it'll be a very tight game. I think Rangers will look at the opportunity to get back, even for a small amount of time, possibly to the top of the league if they get 3 points. They've had 10 days off to prepare, so everybody that was maybe carrying knocks or injuries, you would hope that both teams will come back for international duty with a clean bill of health and they put on a spectacle, because I think it'll be a really good game to watch. I think both of them will go for it. I think both will be confident, or certainly be trying to gain the 3 points. A draw's no good.
No, exactly. At that point, you're talking there about leaving with 3 points. Injuries in international football is always a nightmare, but there's a wee sniff here that maybe, I mean, I don't know if it'll materialise or not, but Kemar Roofe looks as if he's been teasing on social media that he's back ready. I mean, anybody back ready, Cholak there, Morelos, if Roofe's there, the more competition you've got.
Oh, absolutely. I think Alfredo Morelos has taken a bit of time to come back. He was out since March. He came back probably a wee bit early, and near the end there, just before the end, he was back taking part in the European game.
I liked Roofe when he was fit, though. Did you?
I like Kemar Roofe. I think if he can keep himself fit, I think he's a real goal threat. He's pace up front, and he is one of those strikers that we all like, that when he gets half a chance, he pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see him back playing. I think if he's getting close to fitness, obviously match fitness is a different thing, but even if he makes an appearance on the bench, if he's getting that way, then it'd be good to see him back.
Yeah, and what about the Hearts camp? Adam was out there to find out what the details were with Robbie Neilson and the Hearts players at the Oriam.
Thanks, Peter. I'm outside of the Oriam as the press gathered this afternoon to speak to Robbie Neilson and Arestis Kimiotizoglu ahead of the big match against Rangers at Tynecastle on Saturday. Robbie Neilson delighted that the club have so many players out on international duty, and was speaking about just how big that is for the club as a whole.
I've been pleased with the guys that will get some game time. It's I think at a club of Hearts stature, it's important that we have international players. Over the years we've had a lot of players coming through. Probably the last few we've not had as many, so good to start getting them back, getting away again and getting that experience and getting that hunger to come back.
Summer signing Arestis Kimiotizoglu will make his home debut this weekend, and he's looking forward to being welcomed by the Hearts home fans.
Because the matches what I watched from the tribune, I see the supporters, the fans, the screaming, every tackling, every ball wins, every shot, so I'm looking really forward to feel it on my own on the pitch.
Huge game for Hearts this weekend as they look to beat Rangers and climb above their opponents to second in the Scottish Premiership. If you'd like to stay up to date with everything going on in the match, then you can follow us across our Facebook and Instagram stories and Twitter thread. I'll be there at Tynecastle bringing you live updates. But for now, it's back to you in the studio, Peter.
Yeah, he'll be our man out there at Tynecastle. It's 24/7 with PLZ Soccer now. If you download the app, you'll get all the breaking football stories, and of course you get the video content as well, and lots of one-to-ones and exclusives in there. Although I have to tell you, Ruffy, I was looking through an old box and I absolutely picked out a belter of a photograph of you in the new camp with John Clarke and Kevin Gallagher. You know the one I'm on about?
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah, it's an absolute belter.
After the game, yeah.
Right after the game, the three of you, you didn't look as if you'd broken sweat in it, to be honest with you. But Big John looked as if he was breathing heavily.
I'll pass that on to John.
Oh, no, absolutely. But make sure I'm a good few mile away from him. But the three of you in there are great memories. So I'll need to get we'll need to get that out, Ruffy, and put it on the show and let everybody see it.
Yeah, it's
just
great
show you three of them there.
Brilliant. Yeah, they're great photos.
Clarke scored the first one, didn't he?
Clarke scored the first one. We did a wee thing in Dundee a couple of months back, the 35 years anniversary.
Since you beat Barcelona in the Nou Camp.
Barcelona Nou Camp, got to the final. He did say I stole his thunder that night, but hey ho.
Well, absolutely. And of course the other thing is, Ruffy, every now and then if you're going to beat Barcelona, you need somebody absolutely top drawer on your side, don't you?
Yeah, you certainly do.
I mean, Gallagher, Ferguson and Clarke were great, but Luggy was my favourite Dundee United player. Is that bad?
No, I totally. I mean, that team itself, if you pick out an individual, Davy Neary, a Rolls Royce. I mean, but his partnership with Paul Hegarty was really difficult to play against. They had a perfect foil for each other. You had Miller and McLeish at Aberdeen at the same time. But again, wee Paul Sturrock came in Bannon. Yeah. Wee Kevin was just a kid coming in to the team, but breaking into the team. John Clarke, Jimmy Mack and Ali, Davy, Psycho Bowman. Yes. You know what I mean? John Holt, Billy Kirkwood. I mean, we played as a team. Yeah. Going back to the Stevie Clarke thing, I think that's how we got a bit of success. We got to quite a lot of finals, didn't win any, but we got success until that final stage. But it was more the team effort. Wee Luggy, as you quite rightly say, played with his socks at his ankles, and that was in the days where you could tackle.
Yeah, did he wear any kind of a shin pad? No.
No, none at all. And his socks were at his ankles, and he just used to tease people, and these guys were out to get him.
Yep.
And even if they did catch him, he would just get straight back up.
Yeah, Paul Sturrock was a magic player. And by the way, that was great that Ian mentioned there and it touched on it, because we were talking about at the start of the programme Ryan Porteous alongside Jack Henry, a makeshift central defensive partnership. But in those days, you know, Miller, McLeish, and you also had Hegarty and Neary.
Yeah.
Was Dave Neary quiet in your...
Yeah, he was quite a quiet guy.
Was he?
I don't remember him.
Still is. Even any of the functions, Davey, for whatever reason, he just keeps himself to himself. He's retired, and he doesn't do any of the turning up at anything, which is a shame.
Yeah.
A lovely fella. I mean, a gentleman and a really, really nice fella, but always one of the quiet boys.
He'd be a great story to tell, wouldn't he, Ruffy? Dave Neary. I mean, when you think about the
scored
games
a goal
he's played
against Brazil.
in. No, it's just, I mean, honestly.
Just talking about
I
it,
don't
you know.
I don't even think I have read anywhere him talking about... I must look that up again to see.
As Ian says,
he just has no interest in it.
Away
Which
for the club. He has sort of a... doesn't come to the functions.
Well, he did come to the AZ Alkmaar game. I was up there, and they presented him with something on the park.
Right.
Which was really... To be fair,
he could probably get it just for stepping on the pitch. Just get him anyway.
To be fair, his positional sense was immaculate. But
that's good, because somebody's obviously... Sometimes clubs don't go out of their way to go and get somebody back in.
They don't.
You know, so
I'm
maybe
amazed that
somebody has made an effort and said, look, we really need to go and speak to him, because he's a big part of the club. You know, and bring him back, which is great. He came.
Okay, we try and cover as many press conferences as possible to try and bring you all the news, let you hear things, and the growing popularity of the programme, not only here in the UK but abroad. People stopping us everywhere, Ruffy. I mean, Adam and Kerry are out there at these press conferences and chatting to people in city centres, and they're all mentioning, you know, their mum and dad are watching it, or their brothers and sisters. There's lots of people, you know, recognising the fact that the show's on and telling their friends.
Yeah, it was. I told you yesterday I was at the Partick Thistle Golf Day, and there was two guys there. Actually, they left early to go and see the show.
Is that right?
In the golf club, they had their phones, and they were going to watch it live on their phones.
Wow, I think that's just taking it a wee bit far. if you're on a golf day, I mean, honestly, that's ripping the bag. No, absolutely not.
Unfortunately.
Well done, you.
Unfortunately, one of them was Ian McCall.
Yeah, exactly. So, it is nice, and we really do value everybody who's supporting us, and the figures are fantastic, especially on the podcast too. So, if you get a chance, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. It's going really well. Great guns. And out there at Hibs today for their press conference, our reporter Kerry Pollock.
Thanks, Peter. I'm here outside the Hibs Training Centre in Trinent, where they've been looking ahead to their game on Saturday against Ross County at Dingwall. The manager was very confident about his injured players and the progress that they were making. The likes of Kevin Nisbet, Kel McGuinness and Aidan McGeady, all part of training today. So positive things to come for the Edinburgh side. But just looking ahead to the game at the weekend, the manager was very complimentary of his counterpart, Malky Mackay.
But I've always found him to be a strong manager, you know, that's always punched above his weight with whatever team he's had, and I think that's a good sign of a good manager. So yeah, we're really respectful of a good sort of attacking, hard-working side that's got threats, whether it be pace in wide areas, you know, whether it be midfield energy, whether it be balls in the box that they can cause a problem. So yeah, we have to be on it. You know, we've got internationals coming back. Big conversation this morning about switching back onto Hibs and our way, and making sure that we focus on the areas that we believe give us the best opportunity to maximise the points at Ross.
And Hibe's number 6, Noah Kenna, says it's not about proving to others why he's good enough to play at this level. It's about proving it to himself.
I feel like for me I won't say like a point. For me, it's mainly for me. I need to prove to myself that I can be at that level. So, you know, with all the outside noise, for me, it's just focusing on myself, trying to, you know, show people who I am, what player I am. That's one of the reasons why I came to Scotland. To try to prove people like this is my game. I can be at this level, and that's the main aim here. I know I'm a young player, but I feel like I'm ready for the challenge, and that's why I came here, really. Yeah.
Well, Kerry out there at the training ground in Tranent. Hibs mid-table at the moment for this game against Ross County are currently sitting 10th in the table, Ruffy.
Yeah, I tipped the Ross County for top 6 this year with the kiss of death on them. But no, I think it's a difficult one for Hibs. You know what you're going to get when you go up to Dingwall. They're going to be in a fight, and it'll be interesting to see how that game goes, because we keep talking about the Hibs coming back as a force and Aberdeen coming back as a force. For me, they've not done it yet, and they need to go to places like that and get 3 points, and move up that league.
Yeah, okay. Ross County against Hibs, just one of all 6 games that we will keep you right up to date with across Saturday and Sunday. We've already discussed Hearts against Rangers. Give us a prediction on that one.
I think it'll be very tight. I do think that Celtic dropping the 3 points to St Mirren, again, Rangers have to get 3 points if they're going to stay within that. So I can see them edging it. I think just 2-1 to Rangers.
And I think that's the incentive that James Tavernier, the Rangers captain, was talking about. All this doom and gloom, and you know how it works when you played with Rangers, but all this doom and gloom over the disappointing results in Europe, the defeat to Celtic, which clearly hurt. But now, James Tavernier and the players are looking and saying, well, wait a minute, chance to go top here, only 2 points behind Celtic at the moment. So there's a big chance to actually maybe just nip in the bud that little growing unrest that was seeping in from some of the fans.
Yeah, and quite rightly so. Before the St Mirren game, everybody was talking about Celtic maybe going 8 points clear. But it just shows you how a result like that can change things around. If you're in the Rangers camp, you are going to be buoyant. It is only 2 points. You're going to get a hard one at Tynecastle, but I'm like Ian. I think they'll just nick it and no more.
Yep, I agree with you on that. Hoggy Boy has put me on a downer here. He says because the combined age of your 2 reporters there must be about 26. Doesn't it make you feel old, Ruffy?
Yeah, they're doing well.
Yeah,
very well. Yeah, I mean, we know, or you can. Doing stuff to camera is no, it's not easy. It's not easier. When you've not got an auto cue, it's even worse.
Are you good with an auto cue?
No.
Absolutely. I wish we could show you the outtakes from him. See if I say to him anything that's longer than a one sentence. That's panic mode, by the way.
Big 64.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, they're doing well. They're out there covering as many games as we possibly can, and there's more to come. And of course, Ruffy, next week, Monday and Tuesday, really looking forward to it. We're going to be down there for Liverpool against Rangers. I can't wait. It's going to be brilliant.
It really used to frustrate me when you were at Clyde and I was at Real Radio.
Yeah.
And any big game, it was and over to Peter Martin in Paris, over to Peter Martin in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Here we are in the studio.
Well, to be fair, I mean, there was a period when Rangers and Celtic were absolutely, involved in Champions League all the time, and I can remember sitting in one of the press boxes, we're commentating on the games. It was fantastic. You were Werder Bremen against Rangers. You were Celtic against Liverpool at Anfield, and you're saying there, and I looked at one of my mates who was a journal, and I thought to myself, this can't last, by the way. This is magnificent. You sometimes got a wee bit blasé about it all, Ian, when you're playing regularly. I mean, United fans would have got blasé about always being involved in these games.
Yeah, they would fully expect to have a run in Europe every season. Talking about the press, I mean, some of the press guys used to go across, and I remember before the Gothenburg Cup final, I was sitting there was a partition with a casino. There was 2 roulette tables and a blackjack table, and the bar was the opposite side.
Yeah.
Now, because I was suspended for the first leg, and so I said to the manager, Jim McLean, quite nicely, could I go to the casino? He says, go and do what you want, just don't annoy anyone. So I was sitting there, and all the pressmen, this is the afternoon before the game, were all kind of, they'd had a few drinks,
absolutely.
and somebody says, would you like to maybe when you retire, be a press man. I said, I could not possibly drink as much as that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
They had a good time when they went.
For one moment, the blood was draining from my body there. I thought, he's surely not going to tell. Don't name names.
I heard a few of the conversations they were talking about individual players, and thankfully my name didn't come. If I had, I'd just put round the corner.
Well, to defend the boys, actually, they probably failed, and now this was them just enjoying it.
Yeah, fill in the blanks.
We did once go away with Real Radio. It was Scotland versus Lithuania.
Yeah.
And we go to Lithuania, went into the hotel, and there was something up with the reception or the connection.
Yeah.
And we get the word back home to say, look, we need to let it go. We can't. There's nothing we can do. We can't. Says just go out and have a lunch, And I went out with the late Alan Davison.
Oh, that's the point of no return
we went
for
out
you.
For lunch. This lunch lasted 5 hours, and all of a sudden my phone went. We'll fix the line. I was like, are you kidding?
You're rocking. Well, I'm looking forward to be down there for Liverpool against Rangers, which is absolutely fantastic. And we'll be there Monday and Tuesday as well. So the show will be in Liverpool, which is fantastic, Ruffy. If you can listen to it, the podcast, brilliant. But we hope to have all those Liverpool sights in the background at Anfield, everybody in the build-up to the game.
It's fantastic, for the supporters or where clubs that get to these occasions. It's nice to remember, and it doesn't matter where you are or who you're playing. Going away, even if you're with Scotland, it's just being away and being there that makes it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the other thing is, not that I want to mention names, Ruffy, but we will be out in Madrid. I'm really looking forward to that. This will be, I think, one of the big games for us.
Yeah, it'll be fantastic. I mean, we were in Barcelona Stadium watching the Celtic game, and it was just tremendous.
It's great watching Barcelona.
It was great. It was fantastic. Dismantling
When the sixth one went in, I thought this could be 10.
Yeah, I lost count. I was at 5, and I went, how many's that? Every time they went up the park, they scored.
They were outrageous, but listen, let's hope that Rangers and Celtic can produce something a wee bit special. Battle of Britain, always good. Some people don't like the phrase, but it's only two teams coming together, locking horns. And I can always remember being down in Manchester at the time where, our English counterparts just completely writing off Rangers any chance of defeating Leeds United. It wasn't possible. It wasn't even considered. Yeah. And boy, did they come up with a surprise.
Well, they did, and I agree with Alan. I think it's a massive occasion for Rangers and Celtic now to be playing in the group stages of the Champions League with the big boys and being able to go play against the likes of Real Madrid and Liverpool. I think these are occasions that fans don't forget. Hopefully both clubs can go and put on a show, and they don't get, as you don't want to get beat 6-5 and 6 and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, put on a show. It's an occasion. Don't play the occasion, play the match, and then see how that goes. We've all got long-lasting memories of European ties that we played in, and people do remember them from years to come, because it's out of the ordinary. When's the next time you're going to be playing Real Madrid or Liverpool? Who knows? So make the most of it.
Well, I'm just going to say this one thing to you. I'm not going to mention the name because obviously luckily enough we're going to go for a wee lunch as well, Ruffy. But the last time we were in Spain, obviously for something of this stature, was Barcelona Celtic, as you rightly pointed out, and we had a great host. We had a right good night out with Steve Archibald, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
It was fantastic. He was in great form. The wine was absolutely superb. Thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. And I think do you think this next person we're going for lunch with, we're going to post a photograph, do you think this next person's up there with Steve Archibald as far as the standard?
I don't think Stevie will think he is up there with him, but I'm sure when you post the photograph and people of our era will remember. What a fantastic player.
Don't mention anything more. That's as good as it gets, by the way. I can't wait. Just in case it doesn't happen, and then we get egg in our face. Now, the quiz is coming up shortly, but just quickly, a couple of little points before we finish on this. Speaking to Tam yesterday, obviously Murrow playing some good football at the moment, Ian. I think they're really responding to Stephen Hamill, but when you look at it, they haven't been able to convert games where they've played well. And they should have won. Dundee United, they should have got something out of Hearts. How they never got something out of that. Suddenly Hearts win 3-0. So now they're off to Celtic.
Well, I think Stephen Hamill taking over, obviously, is a club legend. He knows exactly what's required to be in the manager's hot seat, and I think the players will certainly respond to playing for him. sometimes when you're on that wee losing run, and it's difficult to get their first win. So they just have to persevere, do the right things, and I mean they're obviously going to Celtic Park, which is a massive ask to get anything from there. I don't suppose they'll be looking to get their first points from Celtic, but again, give him time, let him stamp his own sort of authority on the playing side of things. He'll know the club inside out with the youth structure and everything the boys are coming through. So I'm hopeful for my old club. I think Motherwell were in good hands, and a lot of clubs seem to be knee-jerk reactions to managers at the moment. If they go half a dozen games and they're not happy, they kind of oust them out. But hopefully somebody like Stevie, who has got such a massive reputation at the club, will get a bit of time that he needs and deserves. So
yeah, I think Motherwell are no disrespect, we've been critical of the Hibs board, but I think Motherwell have got a wee bit more stability about them.
I think so, and again, somebody like him in charge who knows the club inside out, and the fans know him, they love him to death, so they'll give him a wee bit more time.
Yeah, Aberdeen against Kilmarnock is another one that we're going to touch on, because they'll be interested to see what kind of reception Derek McInnes gets going back up there. Pelters.
Well, I'm quite sure he'll get pelters. Like he probably is expecting, and he did very well for Aberdeen. I thought when I saw Derek
he might
leaving,
get a wee bit of applause. Do you know?
I thought he did as good a job for Aberdeen. Maybe he went as far as he could take them.
Yep.
Whatever happened, and he left. But again, it's quite a hard one to fill, that void that he left, because he had them up the top end, the same as Robbie Nielsen's doing with Hearts. I think he's doing the same sort of job. A very competitive side of the table. If you're up that end of the table continuously, like Derek had Aberdeen, then it's a hard act to follow, and I think he should get a round of applause.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's worthy of it. Just before we go off, a couple of quick points, but Ian, you're heading up to Aberdeen for a wee...
I am.
Rhyme off the players that you're going to be... You're at a function up there.
I'm at a function for Dougie Bell. Dougie was a teammate of mine at Ibrox, and he's written a book, signed twice by Fergie, not me, Alan Ferguson.
Yeah, we featured it on the programme.
Oh, did you?
Yep,
yeah, he's a great lad, and he's doing this for... His wife passed away a couple of years ago, Hazel, and he's doing that for her. So he's asked a few of the players to come up and do a Q&A. I think there's 9 of us, so I think it might be a big stage.
So there's you, Dougie Bell.
There's me, Dougie Bell, Bobby Russell. We played with him at Rangers. As far as I'm led to believe, there's Neil Simpson, Johnny Hewitt, Willie Miller, John McMaster. Maybe others, but that's the ones that I know of.
Yeah.
But
that's
even Andy Dornan's beat me for a drink before. Andy played with me right through from under 15 schools to under 21s. Great fella. I still do a wee bit of business with Andy, and he's come to meet us for a quick drink beforehand.
Am I right in saying Dougie got into the Aberdeen Hall of Fame?
He's just got in.
Been inducted,
He's not actually inducted yet, but it's in the process.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Well, I like Dougie, a great lad, really skillful player, as well as being hard as nails.
He's the only guy that wore shin pads in his elbows.
Yeah, don't I know it? You don't need to tell me.
When it was at Hibs, we did a function, and there were a man short, and Alec Miller said to me, "You just go with Dougie, you and Dougie just making an exercise across the park."
Yeah.
When I got to the other end of it, my nose was caught. he dealt with me.
To me, I was his mate, and he did it to me. I was Dundee United and Hibs, and I looked at him and thought, he just has these... It's a commitment level. When he goes on the pitch, he forgets who he's playing against. He just elbows everybody.
Well, I have to say, a lot of the Aberdeen fans, speak about him very highly, and rightly so. I thought he was a really good player. Good luck to Dougie. I know the book is raising funds, as you rightly mentioned there, for his wife's Hazel, so fingers crossed it all goes, and there'll be a great night up there in Aberdeen. Now quickly, Andy, is in Singapore, has been quickly putting on the feed relentlessly that he's in Singapore, so we might as well give Andy a mention. Okay. He's in Singapore, and also quite a lot of other people. Thank you very much to each and every one of you to talk about the football and try and keep it as decent as you possibly can. We love the fact that lots of people who actually follow us obviously try and talk about their team and offer their opinion on other things that are going on in Scottish football. Never a dull moment, to be perfectly honest with you. So thank you to each and every one of you. Don't forget to hit the old subscribe button if you want to win these gloves signed by Ruffy today, you were able to see it on the programme. He signed both of them. And of course, it's good because you can get them in a wee frame with a photograph of yourself, Ruffy. And the reason why I say with maybe a photograph of yourself is because these two photographs were sent in by... I think it might have been Alec. Now, if you want to have a look, Ruffy, the photograph just actually, it's got you there, and I think there it is. Premium savings. It's premium bonds. I mean, honestly, you're just fingering every pie. It's unbelievable. And then, of course, there's the Edinburgh Select team as well, which is absolutely magnificent with some of the players. Do you remember any of the players that you played in that Edinburgh Select with against Bayern Munich, Ruffy?
No, would we Rob will be playing?
Hey, I'm looking here.
Clarke.
Alan Ruff is in it. Craig Levine's in there, which is good. Brian Whittaker, Gary Mackay, I think Gordon Jury, Kenny Black, Joe McBride, the young Joe, I think, John Robertson, Henry Smith, Walter Kidd, Ian Munro, Nipper Lawrence is in it, and John Colquhoun. That's some
Fantastic.
team. Yeah.
Anybody in the Bayern team that we might know?
Augenthaler. That's what I'm just going to mention Augenthaler to you because, Ian, if there's anybody who knows Augenthaler, this boy could hit the ball from 35 yards into the roof of the net, couldn't he?
I couldn't have, yeah, great set of half.
Didn't he that night, did he? Tell me, didn't he?
Henry came out and said that.
He was some player, Augenthaler, but they had Lothar Matthäus and Soren Lerby. What about that team, Ruffy? The Bayern Munich side looked not bad, I have to tell you. Although, thankfully, we've got somebody on the couch at least knows what it's like to beat Bayern Munich.
Yes.
An absolute belter of a goal. If you want to win these gloves, all you have to do is quite simply answer the question, which is who scored 2 goals in Scotland's 3-2 victory over Holland in 1978 against Ruffy. Ruffy, they scored for Scotland, but you were in goals for Scotland that night. And who was the other goal scorers for Holland? One of them was Johnny Rep. Who was the other one?
The other one I remember very clearly was Rensenbrink.
Rob Rensenbrink.
He scored the 1000th goal in the World Cup against me. It was a penalty, and they gave me a commemorative plaque thing with me diving to try and save the penalty, and I lost it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Ruffy. Brilliant. And also, I think Donald says, for God's sake, somebody say hello to Andy from Singapore. I think Andy must be having a bad day. Just wants everybody to say hi. Listen, great to have Ian in, as ever. Ruffy back with us today. Might be back with us tomorrow. If there's golf on, tennis, you name it. Oh, bowls as well. You never know. He might not be here. But fingers crossed he will be. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button from Ian, Ruffy and myself, Peter. Thanks for watching.